This opening shot is supposed to look like a trap, but it's quickly revealed to be the stingers police use to stop car chases. And I don't appreciate a trap disguised as a trap trapping me into thinking I'm looking at a trap instead of a trap.
He's not here! It's 17 minutes! 5 people are gonna die! Get hell in here now!
Considering how key of a role Detective Halloran plays in the movie's main game, it makes very little sense why the time frame would be cut so close. If you can give Halloran 17 minutes, then really, how is 30 or even 45 going to make a difference? It all works out, but that doesn't make the arbitrary bullshit this time window any less arbitrary or bullshit. Asshole detective drives a vintage sports car cliche.
Target the remote. If he moves to trigger it, blow it to shit.
Standing down range between the target and the people you've just asked to shoot said target.
I'm not f***ing dying!
He is.
It's started.
I mean, it's been 3.5 minutes. It's about damn time. I've got a brisket cooking. I'm a strange man who notices strange things, and this bucket in particular is very confusing to me. Obviously, the movie has made it unique so that we remember it when the Logan reveal happens. But why are the paint drips running the wrong way? Shouldn't they be running from the opening of the bucket down instead of from the bottom up? What the f*** was it being used for? Why would you use a paint bucket upside down?
I'm sure you're all wondering why you're here.
Because despite diminishing box office returns, horror sequels are still insanely profitable? Because brand recognition carries more weight than innovation? So that Scream 5 can exist? Take your pick.
I want to play a game.
You!
My answer every time someone in my family suggests a game night somehow makes its way into this movie. Also, flipping off a PA system.
I'm offering no blood. I'm offering no blood.
Imagine figuring this out and still deciding to offer up the entire length of your forearm instead of the edge of your hand or butt cheek. Movie, in true Saw fashion, slices its own foot off by playing the old, if you don't actually see the character die, then there is at least a 100% chance they didn't die and are behind the entire thing game. Placing anything found in this room on an open wound. Do you want the random stranger to get an infection? Because this is how you give the random stranger an infection.
And I hope for all of our sakes that it is a game.
Yeah, why is that, sweetheart?
This game is gonna be won.
Not Jenga. No one screams until this very moment because Random Running Girl is the one that has been assigned the character trait of dramatic timing.
Let's get this thing off.
Laser shadowing. They remove the bucket to reveal the top half of this guy's face has been sliced off, but where did the top half go? It can't still be in the bucket because we see them set the empty bucket down over here. The killer likely removed the bucket to take the jigsaw piece from the guy's neck, but why wouldn't he keep the other half of his face in the bucket?
Someone's been studying up on John Kramer. Copycat?
Hope not. Kramer's been dead for 10 years.
Yeah, that's why she said copycat. This is much more about telling us when this part of the movie takes place than a genuine response to her speculation.
You got a computer we can stick that in?
Here's an unsolicited PSA to never stick a random USB into your laptop, especially one you find inside a person. I feel like we can never point out enough that this was originally a doll designed for a child.
That's not creepy at all.
The sad thing is that after the 8th time around, it genuinely isn't anymore. Also, I guess Ryan is supposed to represent the movie's comic relief, so it's unfortunate that he is neither funny nor much of a relief. Wrapping the chain around this huge support beam probably would have worked, but only if she'd wrapped it the whole way around. Contestant number 2 once again receives top marks for lateral thinking, but a disappointing tetanus out of 10 for execution. Mitch grabs the tape, which stops the chains, but what if he hadn't grabbed the tape or hadn't spotted it at all? They'd all be dead, and it would have nothing to do with their ability to admit their sins and everything to do with Mitch not having great peripheral vision.
We will begin with one. One who is not only a liar, but a thief.
But what if Carly hadn't survived the first test? We know John is behind the scenes right now, but does he have an alternate trap ready for every contingency? No matter who dies and in what order? Do you know how many permutations he'd need by the final trap? Well, it's add to 5, carry the 4, multiple by, I don't give a whole lot of fucking bullshit!
When you had a chance to fix the harm that you'd done, you chose to do nothing.
Holy shit. There's no way that Carly literally sat there with $3 in one hand and an inhaler in the other. Sophie's choicing her way through the moral dilemma. She grabbed that $3 and ran. Wait, she even ran off with the f***ing inhaler? Why? Why did she even pick it up?
Check yourself for marks. Huh? If you injected us, there could be marks.
Yeah, but isn't the bigger giveaway whether or not you have a memory of pinching a f***ing purse? That's not the sort of shit you do so often that you forget even doing it, right? My thrift store Wolverine costume from college somehow makes its way into the movie. Yes, my local thrift store sold needles. No, I didn't ask why.
$3.53.
What? What does that mean?
What a life is worth to me.
$3.53 is the amount that Carly stole from this lady, but how the f*** could Kramer the clairvoyant have known that? Could have been watching the whole thing and still not know the exact change. Shit, I bet the dead lady didn't even know how much change she had. Somehow, while flailing in midair, Ryan manages to pretty accurately stab Carly in the neck with all 3 needles and inject their contents. Not impossible, but the fact that we cut away before it happens speaks volumes.
There's more numbers on the inside of this. Could be the combination.
Okay, but what if the needles had been smashed, damaged, or lost? Why have a combination door at all? It's not like they could get through it until they're freed from their chains anyway. Have it open when the test is over, like all the other games. If they all die in here, John has wasted a lot of time and effort. My time and effort.
The partial decapitation is made by a circular saw.
I have no idea how the circular saw we see at the end of the movie managed to pull off all the partial decapitation we're not allowed to show you here. These saws aren't at an angle at all, which means that this guy somehow positioned himself so that the saw cut diagonally up or down his face while making sure his body wasn't sliced at all. Was he trying to die in this way? I don't know how you accidentally diagonally cut your face off with a fixed horizontal saw.
What's your sin, Ryan?
Hey, that's my job.
Sold bad mortgages, sold good coke, cheated on my taxes, cheated on my wife.
Okay, I can buy the adultery part being a sin, but I don't think the Bible had much to say about cocaine, taxes, and subprime mortgage lending. And no, that was not an invitation to quote chapter and verse at me.
Get that shit out of my face.
That is a shovel, Mitch, and it does not appear to contain any fecal matter on or around it.
Guys, there's a tape.
Mitch manages to pick the exact floorboard that reveals the tape because John is just a f***ing psychic, and there's no other way around it. I mean, why even try to hide the f***ing thing? You want them to hear you gloating, so why not put it under the floor where the trappee is trapped?
Okay, how do we get the tape?
I can think of a few ways, but just don't try and do it with anything clumsy like a f***ing rake! How the f*** are you expecting to pick up a f***ing tape player with a f***ing rake, Mitch?
Majeski's disease.
It's a virus. Mostly known because when swine get it, farmers have to wipe out the entire sounder.
I'm impressed.
That she knows a group of older pigs is often referred to as a sounder? Me too. I always just assumed they were referred to as bacon.
Dr. Nelson, another one. Possible jumper.
And I speak every sentence like it's a chore to get through. Also, they came here in their f***ing scrubs to a crime scene they believe is linked to the other killing. They are cross-contaminating the f*** out of this crime scene.
Puzzle piece.
Jigsaw.
Roll credits. Also, hasn't this already been established that either Jigsaw or someone imitating Jigsaw has been committing these crimes? It seems a little redundant to be surprised or impressed at this point, Eleanor. Oh, you f***ing dumbasses. I don't know what's dumber, that neither of them thought to wedge this door so it couldn't close on them, or the fact that John knew they wouldn't and built this trap around that very fact.
There is, however, one person who can help you. Ryan, if he pulls the lever before you're buried alive, you will live.
I'm willing to concede that John targets Ryan here because he's watching all this and made this audio while they were f***ing around after Ryan fell for the trap. But how did he know anyone would fall for the trap? What if all 3 of them had walked into the silo and grabbed the remote? Then they're f***ed with no game to play. This game depends on one of them being on the outside and stuck in this trap. This isn't just predicting human behavior. This is writing the f***ing script so it benefits you.
Half of it's bullshit. Posers, but there's some stuff on there that is really messed up. A lot of sick
Describing your franchise and insulting your target audience in 1 sentence or less.
I mean, 3 months ago, she was offered a job running the show at the Cleveland City Morgue. Why didn't she take that?
Would you want to move to Cleveland?
Hey, that's Clevelandist. Also Cleveland. Having your life expectancy depend on f***ing Ryan. Look, John's rules for this game were...
If he pulls the lever before you're buried alive, you will live.
Buried alive is very different from buried up to the nipples and killed by a flying Home Depot delivery. Don't worry, Ryan. You know what they say about these things. You either die a hero or live long enough to lose a leg and come back 6 movies later as the villain. I'm not judging anyone for needing some liquid courage, but I feel like you're just letting a serial killer do more killing while you're taking this bar break. Aren't they still trying to find where this f***ing game is? Also, what bar leaves a full bottle of alcohol on the counter? It isn't for Little Miss Torture Porn here because she's drinking a clear liquid.
It's a job, Logan. You can't make it personal.
Telling someone they can't make the murders of several girls personal. I mean, at the very least, I think he's allowed to dislike the guy. In a city that, I guess, is at least cooler than Cleveland and has however many citizens, Halloran has decided to focus squarely on the 2 people that were on the shift at the coroner's office when the bodies came in. And one of them happens to have a serious enough obsession with Jigsaw that she has a studio filled with a collection of his most infamous traps. And she's not the f***ing killer! Also, does Logan already know about this Jigsaw trap studio? Because, as we'll see by the end of the movie, he has no intention of having Eleanor take the blame. He's gunning for Halloran. I mean, it is f***ing unreal that he ended up with an assistant this goddamn obsessed with Jigsaw if it wasn't by design. This donut-eating, flat-footed, substance-abusing, coffee-drinking, on-the-job sleeping cliché of a plot device. I read this entire thing, and for once, this is all relevant information about Logan and his history of PTSD. No repeated text, no lorem ipsum. It's perfect! except for this typo.
He's in a fucking coma. How does he just disappear?
Halloran asks a very good question, and the movie will not even try to answer it. So I guess Edgar's body got removed from the hospital by magic? Oh, you, movie. I'm willing to accept there are probably multiple tapes hidden in here that John reveals based on who's alive, but how the could he have known that Mitch was going to stand in that exact spot, let alone exactly when he played the tape?
Hello, Mitch.
John apparently built a pause into this recording so that it would only start after Mitch was fully strung up. Also, let's go back a bit and look at this barn wall behind Mitch in this shot. That is wood, and probably not even very thick wood. Maybe Jigsaw has a plan for that approach, but with all these tools in here, how has no one tried to get through the wall?
$600 for a bike that you listed in excellent condition, even though you knew the brakes were faulty.
The kid that died on Mitch's bike ends up being John's nephew. But how does John know that Mitch knew the brakes didn't work? Couldn't it have been an honest mistake? If you're going to put someone through an ordeal like this, you better be damn certain they're the piece of you think they are.
The device you see here has a unique power source. It's the same engine that graced the bike you sold my nephew.
Okay, what I said earlier about John having multiple contingencies depending on who dies and when. This trap was built for Mitch, so how the did he know Mitch was going to survive to this point? Unless, of course, Ryan and Anna also have a backstory linked to a motorbike that offended John in some way.
You saved me!
Premature celebration. Also, I guess Mitch will use this valuable time to grab the brake and save himself, right? Ah, well.
Edgar Munson was in a coma. You got one job.
You can become a police officer just to watch over people in comas? Is the pension still good?
Pulled a Houdini. Nobody saw shit.
Not only does nobody see but apparently this hospital doesn't have a single camera on the premises that spotted a dead body being carried out of the building.
And this nonsense once and for all. John Kramer's dead and has been for 10 years.
Premature exhumeration?
Let's just say you can call off the hunt for Edgar Munson.
Somebody just switched John's body for Munson's, but how the hell did they do it so quickly? Munson only just went missing, and wouldn't the press have been stalking John's grave ahead of the exhuming? And wouldn't the police have noticed signs that the grave site had been very recently dug up and reburied? I don't know whose wedding is back on, but how unfortunate to get stuck on the same front page as all this serial killer nonsense. Also, from the book of Also, the article under the Jigsaw Strikes Again headline isn't about the Jigsaw murders at all, and is actually reporting on a new online service from Ticketmaster that will make it easier to buy tickets to sporting events. Look, rigging a corpse to fall with the pull of a light switch is certainly possible, but goddamn do I question whether Logan could have done this on his own. And is it really worth the trouble? He wants the cops to find this body, so why go through the drama other than to give us another bullshit jump scare?
I just saw a third body. Looks like it's been through a meat grinder.
And you have always struck me as the meat grinder kind of killer if you were ever going to go there, so please put these handcuffs on.
Who found the body at Eleanor's studio?
Halloran?
I mean, technically you were there as well, Hunt, along with several other investigators. But sure, we can try to make this convenient square fit in an inconvenient hole, because you're a detective that probably went to one of those rich colleges I keep reading about in the Saw Gazette.
IA hasn't connected to multiple homicides going back years.
And now Hunt is with goddamn IA and is secretly working a case against Halloran? With all the behind-the-scenes bullshit going on, I feel like the new Jigsaw murders are only the 5th or 6th wildest thing going on in the city.
Let me get you proof. Let me open up Edgar Munson. We match that slug to Halloran's gun.
Again, that doesn't prove shit. They all open fire on Munson. Maybe he's just a bad shot. He's bad at everything else. Why not shooting perps too? Careful with the cigarette littering, buddy. If you're not careful, someone with the right knowledge will trace it back to you. And then you'll end up fighting for your life on a farm with Seth Rogen. And honestly, who knows if Danny McBride will be there to save you after the way you treated him earlier. Sorry, sometimes I get bored and just imagine the endings to other movies. Imagine this reveal in a good movie.
You lied to the authorities multiple times, Ryan, pinning the blame solely on the driver, your deceased best friend.
But how would John even know about this? This happened decades ago. Unless he was on the road that night watching the incident, he would have zero knowledge of Ryan's guilt in the matter.
Shut up!
Once again, John didn't actually witness shit. He heard a mother suffering from postpartum depression shouting at her baby and then assumed the rest. Now he ends up being right, but how the could he have known this for certain? It's not like she did this with the curtains open.
How do you know this is it?
This farm was in Jill Tuck's family, Jigsaw's wife. Still is.
And why hasn't this barn been searched in any of the other Saw movies? Especially when they started to suspect Jill was in on it. It is insane that we've never heard about this barn until now. It's almost as if it magically popped into existence just for this movie.
Okay, we need to bring him in. Now!
Maybe Detective Hunt hasn't seen many movies in his lifetime. We don't know that much about it. But Jigsaw realizes we, the audience, have seen a ton of these movies, right? And that we would immediately realize these flesh puzzle pieces from Halloran's fridge means that there is not even a chance that he's the killer, because I don't think the movie does realize that. I think the movie thinks we're stupid. Just a quick note that Logan's finale doesn't work unless Halloran decides to go rogue, ignore his colleagues, and follow them to the barn alone. Every step of this plan worked out perfectly for Logan, and after all this finishes, he should buy a lottery ticket or go to fucking Vegas or something.
Now the game's simple. The best ones are.
Oh, are they now? I don't disagree, but there appear to be several movies in this franchise that didn't get that crucial memo.
You've been obsessed with John Kramer from the start.
And rather exhaustingly, the movie will now try to get us to suspect Ellie is the killer, even though we all know that can't be true because the Saw music isn't playing yet.
All right, you got one.
Man, Logan's run of luck has to be insane for any of this to play out the way it does. Halloran doesn't kill Logan here. Eleanor has to still be there to witness this incident and then actually run away to get help. Logan has to hope that Halloran will be following them to the farm before Hunt can capture Halloran. And did I mention Halloran somehow doesn't fucking shoot Logan in the goddamn head right now?
Use your key to freedom.
Oh, you, John. There was zero chance either of them were figuring out that little puzzle. Have you met Ryan?
We could have been free, Hannah.
So Ryan would have been let go if he'd figured out the shotgun puzzle? But earlier, John said,
Any attempt to violate my rules will kill you.
Ryan definitely broke the rules, and while he does die eventually, it's not because he violated the rules. So did Logan drug himself so he would wake up confused, or is he playing in case Halloran is up? Because he could have just kept his eyes open, and once Halloran came to, acted like he has as well. This feels like it's played more for us than an actual part of Logan's plan.
I messed up your x-rays!
And here we have the reason why Logan was picked by Jigsaw. I know John sees the error of his ways eventually, but that doesn't stop this being the most unfair victim selection in the franchise. Logan had just come back from Iraq and was suffering from depression and PTSD. Yes, it sucks that a stress-induced clerical error affected John's diagnosis, but there was no f***ing malice behind it at all. He may as well kidnap the barista at Starbucks that spelled his name wrong. I bet he f***ing would, too.
I tampered with evidence. I took bribes. I put innocent people away.
While this movie wants us to see how shitty of a guy Halloran is, it's only displayed that aspect through dialogue. It hasn't shown us much of anything to back this shittiness up. Sure, Halloran was acting pretty creepy with Eleanor earlier, but otherwise, visually, the movie has shown Halloran to pretty much be on the up and up, and has honestly shown him to be a pretty intelligent detective. He only tried to shoot the trigger device out of Edgar's hands earlier, and was not trying to kill him. He's been handling all the evidence with care and making sure it goes through the proper channel. He even immediately clued in on the possibility that either Logan or Eleanor might be responsible for the killings. We've only had any suspicion of how slimy the character can be because of what other characters have said about him. And now, with less than 20 minutes in the movie, he confesses to all this bullshit we had no knowledge of before. Discount Jigsaw movie gives us a discount Jigsaw.
I know this because I was one of the players.
Logan was originally supposed to be in the game that we've been watching all movie. Where was his test?
Jigsaw put me in that game because 10 years ago.
Safe to say these are scars from the circular saws, but how did all these different angles happen? Did he get off and back on again? And of course the answer is so that we believe these scars came from his tour in Iraq and not from his game. Damn it, there's a decent movie in here absolutely buried by its attempts to misdirect us.
John decided I shouldn't have to die over an honest mistake.
So which honest mistake are we talking about? The x-ray mix-up or the fact that John f***ed up the dosage and you didn't get a chance to hear the game's instructions? Either way, it seems pretty f***ing arbitrary to me. Also, us and the rest of the internet have seen John's anesthesia mastery and ability to get people to wake up exactly when he needs them to wake up. But to acknowledge that criticism by creating a prequel that exists because he does f*** it up is a choice. Also, Jigsaw, John does a piss poor job of saving Logan. Does John not have control of the circular saws? Why couldn't he have turned them off and then pulled Logan out?
I wanted my game to be identical to Jigsaw's.
But why use the same paint-stained bucket? Okay, maybe it's because he salvaged the equipment from John's original game, but you and I both f***ing know, dear viewer, that it's actually to trick the audience into thinking the present-day victim is actually the victim from 10 years ago.
I gave them the same choices that Jigsaw did a decade ago.
But wait, how the hell could he have known that the new Carly would die the same way old Carly did? I mean, she could have died in that first room, or from the poison, or the hanging. At the very least, there's no f***ing way he could be certain that she would end up getting injected with acid.
John Kramer gave people a chance to win the game.
I just watched 80-some-odd minutes that would prove otherwise.
Hello, Edgar.
Logan uses some audio wizardry on his home computer to create these Jigsaw recordings, but there is a huge difference between splicing together audio to make it say what you want to then having that sound like a coherent sentence being spoken by a human, let alone make up entire names from that pre-existing audio like Edgar, because we ain't seen no f***ing Edgars, Mitches, Ryans, or Annas in these movies. Also, this whole plan depends on Munson getting to this rooftop, to this trigger. Munson was in a high-speed chase, crashed his car, and then escaped the cops on foot. It's insane that he made it to the trigger in the perfect spot for Logan to snipe him. I refuse to believe this is the only way Logan could get Halloran's attention.
What kind of firearm do you use?
Logan is now revealing that he shot Munson in the chest and switched the bullet when Hunt took him to Munson's corpse. But why did he switch it then? Why didn't he do it when he was switching Munson's body with John's instead of right under Hunt's fucking nose? Also, Logan gets super lucky that Hunt is sent to arrest him instead of Halloran. I very much doubt this Halloran did it speech would have worked quite so well on Halloran.
I speak for the dead.
Except for the last 10 years or so, where I let that guy from Picket Fences and that girl from Becker do it. But I'm totally speaking for the dead now.
I need this to end.
We are the knights who say...
What do you think, Al?
Mother puss bucket.
I'm just a guy on a bike following a homosexual couple.
Puppets! I've always hated puppets!
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
Let's get home.
No! Kelly Clarkson!
That will require a tetanus shot.
Hey, Goldilocks, can I ask you a question?
As long as it's a question about how to cure rotting fish breath, sure.
No fair.